So I wanted to start off. Everyone asked me, start off with a story, but everyone asked me, what does akudim, nekudim, brudim have to do with, it's all the, a lot of the drushes in Eitz Chaim and in Eisus Chaim, and obviously there must be some connection to the parsha, which everybody seems stumped, myself included. So I have Epis Mahalach, and you don't have to be masking to it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Okay, but beforehand, just say a story which is coming straight from Olam HaKudim. How's it coming from HaKudim? Because it's coming from a Makom Gavaya Ma'ay. Even though it's a very down-to-earth story, but it's coming from a high place. So the story is as follows. I heard it in the car on my way here, that there was a Yid who had no children for 15 years. If you know the story, it's good. If you don't know it, if you know it, it's a chazar, and if you don't know it, it's even better. There's a Yid who had no children for like 15 years. Him and his wife got along very well, but they decided that since they can't have children, they very badly want children, so they asked the Shaila, they decided they're going to get divorced. And that hopefully they'll have a different spouse, they'll be able to have children. So they went ahead and they got a get, 100% kosher get. About 3 months after the get, they found out that the lady's expecting. So, for statement, they wanted to get remarried again because they only got divorced because she couldn't have children. But then, the guy said, I'm a Kayin. Kayin is also to be machzik rushasai. So they didn't know what to do. Like, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe you could say it's a get tos and get a heta. Today, heta meir rabbanon seems to be pretty popular. Maybe they could get something. So they went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he told them very clearly that there's absolutely no way that you could get remarried. There's no heta, there's nothing out, nothing to do. V'afalon, it's too bad, you can't fix it. He says, but I would tell you, maybe you go speak to my shver, Rabbi Yashiv, maybe he has something he could tell you, help you, whatever it is. Maybe get chizuk from him. So sure enough, next day, the guy went to Yerushalayim, to Rabbi Yashiv. He comes into him and cries his heart out. He says, I want to remarry my wife. We're having a child now, but I can't. So Rabbi Yashiv says the same thing. He says, in halacha, there's absolutely nothing you could do. He says, but what do Jews do? What do Yidden do when they have to cry their heart out to the Rebbeinu Shalom? They go to the Kaisel. He says, go to the Kaisel, daf by the Kaisel. So he went to the Kaisel. He's standing by the Kaisel, crying his heart out. And as he's there for a long time, he feels a tap on his shoulder. He's a Yerushalmi Yid, a Talmud Chacham. He says, like, talks to him. He sees a guy crying. He says, like, maybe I can help you. What's the problem? What's your tzara? So he tells him the whole story. And so he tells this Yid who had no children. He says, I don't know what to tell you. He says, the only thing I can tell you is that you should go see your father. He says, my father, I haven't seen him in 10 years. Why am I going to go not to see my father? He says, I don't know why, but you should just go see your father. Right? So his father was in a nursing home, and his father had Alzheimer's for many years. And he calls the nursing home, he says he wants to come visit his father. They said, listen, if you want to come. But you should know you're wasting your time because he hasn't spoken to anybody. He hasn't spoken a word in the past 2-3 years. But if you feel you should come, you should come. So he decided he has nothing to lose. This is what's happening in his life. He went to Reb Chaim, who sent him to Rabbi Yashiv, who sent him to the Kaisel, and punkt, this guy came. Who knows? We'll go. His father's in a nursing home in America. He said he's going to go there, and hopefully everything will work out. So he gets on the plane. He goes to the nursing home. The staff is telling him, listen, your father hasn't spoken for 2 years. Basically wasting your time. But if you want, go in to see him. So he comes to his father. He starts crying, and he tells him the whole story. And looks like there's nobody home. But then after a while, the father hears the whole story, and he wakes up, and he says in a very clear language, because this father In other words, this child was like a post-Holocaust child. The father was a Holocaust survivor. And he tells him, you should know that it was after the Holocaust. He woke up out of his stupor, and he says, you know, it was after the Holocaust, and you're not my son, you were adopted. And he says, you're not a Kohen. And so, by hearing this, so obviously it was a great simcha to him, because now he could go back and he could go marry his grusha, because he's not a Kohen anymore. So kachava. Point of the story is that it was really, it's not that it was a Maisa Nes that happened.
He was also a Kohen, he was only the Duchen all the time, his father's on that.
Okay, but right now he's not.
I think it's not scholar. He did research.
He went back to Rabbi Yashuv and he said he's not a Kohen. Finished.
He did research.
Okay. Listen. What you have is, I would call it a kasha of Hamaisa. Okay. Okay. Now, back to our parsha. I appreciate your machal. Okay, now you can be machal in the next shtickle also. It says like this. Now we know, it says, akudim, nekudim, brudim. What is the limit? What does it have to do with Yaakov? How does you see it in the Torah? So, first just to go to touch in short words, what is akudim? Akudim are the Iris and the Kalim that came from Peda Adam Kadmon, which came down at Hatibur. That's Olam HaAkudim. What is Nikudim? Nikudim is the Iris and Kalim of Atzilus before the Tikkun. What is Brudim? Brudim is Iris and Kalim of Atzilus of after the Tikkun. Now, the Zohar in the beginning of the parsha says, Shani Yaakov, the Ishtalim La'ela V'tata. We know that Yaakov was Mitasei Shlema as opposed to Avraham and Yitzchak that were not Mitasei Shlema. Yaakov was a Shalim from, besides from Mitasei Shlema, but from La'ela V'tata, from top to bottom. And the Mefarshim say, what does it mean top to bottom? Because he was Yoshev Aholim, he learned Torah, therefore he was a Shalim from top to bottom. If you go through the Chiyus of Adam, and I'm saying Dafka and Yaakov, because he was a Shalem from top to bottom, so you could say that these Madregas of Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim happened Dafka and Yaakov Avinu, because he was a Shalem from the beginning. So how would it work? So Akudim, which would be only Moichin, because Akudim is in the highest Madrega, so it would be only Moichin. Moichin would be basically before the person is born, the Knisas Moichin into the Bina, into the Ima. The next Madrega would be Nekudim, which is before the Tikkun. In other words, like a person when he's a young child, he has no Averis, so he doesn't require a Tikkun. So that would be his Makam of Nekudim. And then the Olam HaBrudim is after the Tikkun, that's already after the person's Bar Mitzvah, Knisas Moichin, so then it's already after the Bar Mitzvah. So you see that these three Madregas of Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim was Shayich Dafka by Yaakov, nobody else, because he was, I guess you could call it Kaddish Merechem, that he was from the beginning till the end, from his Akudim, through his Nekudim, through his Parsha of Brudim, so he was a Shalem, Betachlis HaShlemus, all throughout. So I'm thinking that might be pshat. Why after this parsha, when it talks about Yaakov and it talks about Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim, it's really mirames to Yaakov Avinu. So I'm saying it as a shtickle mahalach. If you want to be moicha on it, absolutely the makom to be moicha. I'm waiting for the machal. Okay. It also mentions it about tzayin. That after the tzayin was. It mentions Izim also, but when it says Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim, it says Dafka by Tzayin. So I'm saying, why Dafka Tzayin? What is Tzayin Miramas? So it's also Miramas at 3 stages by a person, and it goes Matamaila. It goes bottom up. How so? Tzadik Aleph, as you know, is Gematria 91, which is Miramas Shem Adnus, which is the bottom, and the Shem Havaya, which is Keneged the Teferes. Right? And then where does it come from? Where is it mishtalshel from? From the Nahi the Bina. It's coming down from Bina, and that's the Nun of Tzayin, which is the Nun Shari Bina. So you see that Tzayin is also Merabas, those 3 Madregas of in Yaakov Avinu, of Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim. it's also representing the three Yechudim, as you know. So it's the Havaya Adnus, and then everything else. Okay, that's one shtickle. Then it says in the. I wanted to say that first because everybody asked me that the whole week. They're asking me that. So I don't know. That's the answer, but it's the shtickle mahalch. And then a question, a kasha, that it says in the beginning of the Parshah, Vietza Yaakov, Lamed Yotze Tzadik Meneir Nasa Roshim. Right? So my question is, why is it dafka by Yaakov? Why doesn't it say by Avram and Yitzchak? They also came and went. Why doesn't it say that they made a Roshim? Why dafka by Yaakov Avinu did he make a Roshim? In the Bria, there's three parts. There's Avir, Mayim, Eish. In Sefer Yetzirah, it's called Emesh. That's the Yesodis. And so these three Yesodis, the Ikka of those three, so one is Chesed, one is Din, and one is Rachmim, right? So the Chesed is the Mayim, as we know, Eish is Din, and the Ruach, the Avir, is the Mamutza. So Yaakov, and the Mamutza is the Chiyus of everything. So, and that's the Koil HaKoil, that's the Amar HaTovach, that's the main thing of everything. All the Chiyus comes from the Ruach. So therefore, since Yaakov is Keneged the Mamutza, because Avraham is Chesed and Yitzchak is Din, and Yaakov is the Mamutza, is the middle, that's the Ruach, that's the Ikechis of the whole Bria. Therefore, Dafka said that when Yaakov leaves the Roshim, that Roshim is much more important than the Roshim of just having a Chesed Roshim or just having. And you see also by the Bria, I don't know, I'm told that it doesn't say Mefurish in the Arizal, it says in other places that the whole Bria, the whole world is only working on a Harshama, on a Rishimo. That everything that we get, all the Iris we get, only come from Roshim, doesn't come anything direct Iris because we can't accept it. And that's why I'm saying over here, Dafka, that he came, Dafka, from these things. As well? Right.